All right, we're back at it. So this is the drawer assembly portion of the build. So I've got this big giant PCB. We got the IO board done, and that was really pretty straightforward and easy. I liked it, but this is going to be a little bit more dense and obviously some more components. So without talking too much more, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. All right, so I'm working on step 7 for populating the drawer, and I just thought I would share something for those who are not super accustomed to these kinds of projects. So basically this step is populating most of the resistors on the board for one channel, and basically it's a duplicate step for the second channel. And so you get those done, and it's done in 3 rounds. So the bag actually comes with like 3 little miniature bags of resistors. Anyways, this is at this point definitely the most tedious part of the project. We haven't done any of the pin headers yet, so that's going to be more tedious probably. But this is definitely an exercise in patience and how well you can distinguish colors. I'll gripe real fast. This isn't DIY recording equipment's problem, but some of the resistors, and this is just a problem. It's sometimes just so hard to tell the colors. I feel like I can identify colors pretty well, but they're small, and on top of that, sometimes the red is just not like very vibrant, for instance, and it kind of looks like brown. And if you don't have another brown stripe on the resistor, it's hard to know if you're looking at red or brown or purple in some cases. So it definitely helps to have a multimeter available to you. And if you're not sure, you can just test it and be confident. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is, as you start populating these things, you notice they're all really close together. The back side, it's like put the resistors in through and then bend the sides over one way or another. Kind of the one of the meta games of populating these boards is bending the leads over in a way that doesn't leave them resting on some place you need to solder another component. And so I just thought I'd share this really fast because it's kind of fun. You'll see when it's not a big deal and it's possible, I'll just fold them over parallel to the resistor. And other times when you have them folding over overlapping and things like that, you'll have like here's a good example, like this one right here. If I'd have to be paying attention, but I could easily solder this resistor to that resistor while I'm soldering. So just kind of one of the fun little games to be playing as you're going through it. And so yeah, I'm going to keep soldering, but just thought I'd share that little tip for you guys. Okay, so one thing I did want to just, again, kind of like a quick tip thing, when doing these switches 1, 2, and 3, that's the polarity, pad, and line switch, they do, the switches have on the little pin sticking out of them, the two middle ones have a, kind of a bend in them so that when you push them through the PCB, they kind of clip in place. And I just wanted to bring it up because what I found, and I made this mistake and I should have checked before, but what happened was I got through soldering about half of the pins on these switches, and then I kind of looked at the switches and noticed they weren't really in line with each other. And what had happened was, even though those little pins kind of lock in place, it's not a super tight fit. So when I was holding it kind of like this, tilting it down, the switches were, hanging down a little bit. And so what I had to do was kind of come back and carefully like reheat these joints, apply a little bit of pressure, and just kind of like slowly bounce back and forth between them and kind of push the switch back up through the PCB traces until it was flush on there. So, you have to be careful when you're doing that because if you're not heating it well, what you can be doing is basically pushing up those PCB traces and like kind of tearing them off the board. So you just pay attention if that happens to you and you have to do something like that. But But yeah, I should have been paying better attention to that, but alas, I did not. So something to just to pay attention to, because when you're done, they should be pretty well in line with each other, and it's a lot easier to see when they're fully extended, so you can kind of just see like, oh, okay, yeah, these guys are in line if I look at it in a couple different, you know, directions or whatever it may be. So yeah, just a quick thing I wanted to go over real fast. We are almost done with the left side, channel 1. I've got to do these fancy pantsy header sockets, and there's a special way to do that that's drawn out in the manual. So just pay attention to that. I won't re-explain it to you. So I've got most of the left side, channel 1, done. All I've got left to do on this side is do the populate the daughter board, and then there's some hardware and such attached, standoffs and whatnot, but you know, be waiting to do that until a little bit later. So next round of next chance I get to actually like work on this again, probably tomorrow night, I will go through and get side 1 done. Hopefully side 2 goes a little bit quicker now that I've got a feel for it, but you can start to see it's looking like something that you would rack mount, and you know, it's starting to look like something that's usable. So here pretty soon I'll be able to you know, populate this daughter board and you know, well, I guess these guys going on this side, but yeah, you can start to see it's really shaping up, and we'll get going and have that done here pretty soon.
24 hours later.
All right, now that we finally got the main board done, we'll focus on the daughter board, which there's 2 of these. So looks like it's mostly switches and some connectors, so I'll get after it. So I am almost done assembling this, and I kind of skipped through the knob assembly because I'm embarrassed by how clumsy I am with these parts, but there were a few lessons learned that I wanted to share with you guys that I just happened to run into, and that frankly, you know, if I'm dumb enough to run into it, I'm sure someone else is. So first things first, you know, one thing I had problem-wise, and this isn't really a problem, just something to be careful about when you are unpacking the bag. These knobs have two little tiny set screws, and there's one on either side. What I found is probably about 3 or 4 of the knobs, the set screws had, you know, rotated out or walked themselves out of the knobs, and so they were sitting loose in the bag. They're very small, so if you did what I did and just held your hand out and dumped them out, you do need to be a little bit careful because you might have spilled those. So just check and see. All of my set screws were there. None of them shipped without them. It's just, you know, they likely walked themselves out while they were shipping or something like that. So the next thing is there is a hex key that comes with the kit. It works perfectly fine. One of the things that I found annoying about it is it's exactly the right size where when you've got the key and you're trying to turn it, you're going to kind of start to run into the edge of this, you know, faceplate. And, you know, one of the things that can happen, and this is what happens with me, is you don't want to scratch it, and you start to be conscious of it. And what you start to do is when you've got the key in there and you're trying to adjust it, what you start to do is as you're turning it and you're trying to avoid the faceplate, is you start pulling it, you know, off center, and it's just not something you want to do. So what I went ahead and did was I happen to have another one on hand that is way longer, and it's great because I was able to, you know, stick that in there, and, you know, this isn't going to risk really hitting it. So here's kind of the procedure, and it's not rocket science, guys. These are just like kind of quick little things that I learned that I wanted to share with you. First things first is like back out the set screws to make sure that they are not extending in any way out into the hole there. And reason being, if one is kind of sticking out, these are pretty tight fit, and it will prevent the knob from sitting down all the way. So my procedure is pretty simple. I line it up on center, and they say it's 10 clicks in. I found that basically all the pots lined up, like the T-shaft or split shaft, sorry, as they're called, you know, all went pretty horizontal when they were 10 clicks in. So that's supposed to be the middle position. I like to get it in there, eyeball it, get it as close on center as I can, and I just push down with my index fingers. I'm holding it. I take my longer hex key here, stick it in there, and I start to rotate it. As I'm going, I try to be mindful because, again, I'm likely to try to rotate it as I'm turning. So as you can see, I did that, and, you know, I look like a dummy while I'm doing it. So just get it lined up, tighten it on one side. You're not trying to tighten it like crazy, but it does help to get this right the first time. These are these, you know, the end of these shafts are not knurled or anything like that. So you know, they are you know, it's a solid smooth shaft. I mean, there's a split in it, but it's smooth on the surface. And what I found when putting knobs on, when you start to tighten these set screws down, then they really bite into the shaft, which is a good thing. But if you kind of get it slightly off the first time you're doing it, what can happen is you kind of end up with this divot, or you know, kind of spot on the shaft where these set screws kind of want to find themselves. So if you get it almost right and you want to make a last minute tweak sometimes, and especially if you tighten those set screws really, really tight, what will happen is, you know, it will start trying to find that hole again, and basically you won't be able to get a really fine adjustment on it. So it's good to get them, you know, as good as you can the first time. I did all mine here. That was the last one, and as you can see, I've got them all at the, you know, 12 o'clock position. They are not perfect, but you know, it's good enough for what we're going for here. The point is recall, and these are not true stepped controls. They're like you know, they have little detents that they're finding. And so, you know, 9 times out of 10, if I'm trying to match something between one and the other, I'm not going to count. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And really, this is more for, you know, reference. It does help to have that kind of home 12 o'clock position pretty well defined, but in general, We're just trying to loosely get it here. Well, anyways, guys, I'm really excited. I'm going to speed through the rest of this assembly, and hopefully we'll get testing pretty soon. All right, moment of truth. I've got the power supply connected. I've got, everything connected on the back here. No inputs or outputs, just kind of trying to figure out if this is going to work. So we are going to perform the smoke test. What we're looking for here is to plug this bad boy into an outlet, and frankly, it's not too bad, right? This is, 120 volts in, but I suspect this is down converting everything to not 124 volts. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier on you. Definitely cuts back on the scary factor. Yeah, 16 volts DC and 48 volts DC, so all DC. So what we're gonna do, plug this in, we're gonna listen for noises that we're not expecting. We're going to watch for smoke. There's a lot of ways you could try this. I mean, you could probably pull the tray out first. I'm pretty confident in my soldering work. I'm pretty confident in that I followed the instructions. So at this stage, it's just probably going to be a faulty component, but I think it's going to be good. It's a pretty simple design. So I got the modules in. I'm going to plug this here into the power strip. And 3, 2, 1. So far, no explosions. Yep, okay, that's on. No lights on the front panel yet, so let's just do a quick 48 volts. Hey, that's a good sign. Just run down the LEDs. Yep. So that gives me some good information. I mean, I probably at least one of our low voltage rails is working, so that's really great news. No smoke, so I'm going to just kind of probably leave this powered on for a little bit and see if anything happens, but I suspect we're in the clear. This was a really great build. I'm really looking forward to putting this in the rack and getting some audio run through it. It's going to be really exciting. If you don't remember, or I didn't explain it well enough in the video, I ended up doing the CTX module in color slot 1, so it's on both sides. The louder than liftoff, what's it called, royal blue, and then this is my, I think the TM79 that I had from some other color projects that I'd done, just wasn't getting used anymore. So this is all transformer goodness. Really expecting this to be a lot of really good usable color that I can easily split between either mix bus or maybe I'll drums. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think it's gonna be fun either way. So very, very happy that nothing has exploded yet, and that, my friends, is, as far as I go, a big win. So thank you so much, and next video we'll be powering it on with some audio connections and seeing if we can make some music. Thanks guys for watching.